Jack Dorsey is going to say something, don't trust, verify, which if you're in Bitcoin spaces and crypto, you've heard that phrase before, financial spaces. But that's a similar thing that's happening in the content space. So
Right.
previously, you could have a Tom Brady and FTX, and I'm in behind this product. You just trust me. Well, now what's happened is because of content, people are getting more access. They're seeing behind the scenes. And that's where the attention and the trust is actually being built and the credibility. And so, as I pointed out before we hit this part, you got celebrities now going to hang out with Kai Cenat, for example.
Right.
That era of like, I just show up and I'm the celebrity, it's over. Now they're engaging with the streamer, his audience, doing challenges and throwing cold water on people who fall asleep. Like, that's the don't trust but verify being played out just in the content space. But there's Jack Dorsey talking about it as it relates to artificial intelligence and technology as a whole.
Don't trust, verify. So even this talk, everything I've said, don't trust me. You have to experience it yourself. And you have to learn yourself. And this is going to be so critical as we enter this time in the next 5 years to 10 years, because the way that images are created, deepfakes, videos, you will literally not know what is real and what is fake. It'll be almost impossible to tell. It will feel like you're in a simulation because everything will look manufactured, everything will look produced. And it's very important that you shift your mindset, or you attempt to shift your mindset, to verifying the things that you feel you need through your experience, through your intuition. Because all these devices in your bags, in your pockets, they're offloading from that image of the neuron I sent you. And because all these things are on your phone now, you're not building those connections in your brain anymore. You're building an absolute dependency on these devices every single time you use them.
Isn't that wild, dude? Like,
this has been going on for a while. Obviously, fake news, deep fakes have been floating around. The scale with which it can be done today, I think, is what's most concerning.
Yeah.
And I feel like, and it's part of what we're trying to do on this podcast, is to force people to start using their head and take their head out of the sand, be more involved, be more active, actually do the research, understand what's happening in the news as it relates to economics, politics, geopolitics, cultural worldviews, technology, to see the bigger picture, right? To have a more first principles outlook, because people will assume that everything that they read on the internet, or they'll just respond without actually thinking that it's a material fact. And that is very dangerous, that type of bias for a culture. But it's very dangerous even for our business if we're making decisions off of something because of our bias and the content supports our bias and we didn't actually try to determine. I saw a video yesterday. It was the Pope walking up to the altar, and the videos were side by side. On one side, he set down what he was holding, which I think was like the Eucharist, and he like pushed it forward. On the second one, he pushed it forward and he pulled the entire tablecloth out from underneath the altar and then walked away. You couldn't tell the difference between the two, other than somebody said this one's the fake one, right?
Well, I in that statement from Jack Dorsey, I think one of the things, if you didn't catch, not if you didn't catch it, Samson, but if the listeners didn't catch it, was he's actually lobbying that your great advantage for deciphering what's real and what is not fake, what's real and what's fake, is to actually spend time off of your device.
Right.
That builds your brain's ability, your cognitive ability to leverage said intuition, as he referred to it. And so I thought that was an interesting thing to catch from that statement. Those statements is that he's actually saying get off the device. But secondly, part of me, I think it's kind of ironic though, later on, how influential people kind of have this arc, their careers and life paths change before us. I think it's interesting though that he's sitting there saying that despite being one of the people responsible for such dependency on the device in a way, obviously it's not him. It's not him, but I think that's an interesting piece. One, he's saying that as a person who's been in it, but he's also saying it and as a person who's benefited from it too. And just a few different layers. I was just listening to that clip and thinking about like, man, one, he knows, he's seen it up close. He's been in some pretty serious meetings, but also he played a part in the development of this era per se. So,
which is why that wording carries so much weight.
Exactly. Yeah. So get off the device, which I really appreciate that, which we're seeing that anyways. Like, think about it. Like your brain, it's like I was telling someone, actually, I was looking, Cole C-Rock, our guy behind the scenes, was showing me, he cataloged all of his videos since he started making videos, which is actually pretty sweet. And he put them all on the timeline. And you could see how, in the beginning, when he's just starting and the blocks of footage are longer blocks of editing and footage. But as time goes on and as his pathways change, it all becomes these short little clips. And that's what we were looking at together, just talking about this, of how you can actually see the era of change in media on his timeline by way of his experience. You could just see it. It went from long form to short. And I thought that's just interesting because that is very much so our brains, right? When we sit there scroll, it's like start, stop, start, start, start. It's like, how can you possibly pay attention to what's happening around you?
Yeah, and you're seeing more and more about dopamine deprivation and addiction. And so if you're constantly getting the dopamine hit from the screen, content, it does mess with your brain. It's almost like that high. So even for myself, I've been trying to get out there and touch more grass. I've been trying to get out there and put my feet on the ground every night before I go to sleep, because I'm sitting in an office all day. I'm consuming content. I'm working on a computer. You know, it grounds you back to reality as well.
Yep.
That you're just like this little tiny being inside of this huge reality. And I think that as entrepreneurs, we have a really hard time disconnecting.
Yeah.
And really just being present. So it's definitely a call for that, but also a call to just be cautious of every bit of content that you consume.
Indeed, because it is powerful, man. Like just take a step back.